My name is Emily. I'm in my late 30s, working as an office worker and also helping out at my family's liquor store. On weekdays until 6 p.m., I work in the office and afterward, I help with the accounts and management of the family liquor store. The liquor store used to be very prosperous back in the day, supplying alcoholic beverages to hotel banquet halls, pubs, sushi restaurants, and various other places. In our neighborhood, there were no other liquor stores, so we practically had a monopoly. However, in recent years, with regulations limiting the hours when alcohol can be served, the amount of alcohol consumption has decreased drastically. Not only were there fewer banquets, but pubs even stopped serving alcohol in the evening. Of course, this has brought serious financial difficulties to our family business. As the eldest daughter, and my sister Noah already married, I found myself in charge of the struggling family liquor store. Moreover, my parents were terrible at managing the finances. On top of an existing debt, they continued their old-fashioned way of doing business when the store started to struggle. And without realizing it, the debt inflated massively, bringing us on the brink of bankruptcy. However, due to my father's determination not to close the store, I decided to move back home 2 years ago. Still, the income from the liquor store alone wouldn't be enough to pay off the debts. So I decided to continue my day job and help out at the store in the evenings. When I return home after work on weekdays, my father greets me in the store, the shutters open, holding his favorite beer.
Ah, finally you're back.
Dad, are you drinking again?
Ha ha ha. These bottles aren't selling. I'm just drinking them.
My father, having consumed quite a bit of alcohol, smells strongly of it, and his speech is slurred. Dad, that's enough. Don't drink the merchandise. When I tell him that, he responds loudly.
Don't lecture me. The daughter who can't even get married.
Saying so, he went inside the house. I cleaned up the cluttered store and dived into the books for the day. Dinner doesn't happen until after 9 p.m. when I finish up the store's closing tasks for the day. I may be used to it, but I still get hungry. Since my parents have already gone to bed, I head to the kitchen to make instant ramen, and then start preparing breakfast for the next morning. My mom prefers bread for breakfast, and my dad likes rice, so every day I prepare both a Western and Japanese meal. This is how my day ends. On the weekends, when I finally get a day off, I set my alarm for 10 a.m., hoping to sleep in, but my mother wakes me up at 8 a.m. Hey, heat up your father's miso soup quickly. Why? You can do that, Mom. I refuse. Why should I have to do the housework when you're here? Now get up. My mother seems to be mistaking me for a housemaid. True, I've always been meticulous and liked cooking and cleaning, so I naturally took on the housework. But ever since I was in high school, my mother, who had come to rely heavily on me, dumped everything from taking care of my sister to housework on me. Tired of this situation, as soon as I graduated from high school, I got a job and started the work I do now. In my teens, the work was very difficult, and there were many times I wanted to give up. But each time my seniors at work helped me, and I managed to keep going. Unable to enjoy a leisurely morning, I woke up, finished the housework, and went straight to work at the liquor store. I began shouldering the family debt when the business started to struggle, a total of $3 million a year. Frankly, it's not an easy sum to manage. I lived frugally to repay the debt, using only $1 cosmetics from the dollar store, and packing homemade lunches. I endured the cold as long as I could to save on heating bills. In a bid to pull us out of this situation, I took it upon myself to help rebuild our family business. I believed that just supplying alcohol to local businesses wasn't going to cut it. I suggested to my dad that we could leverage the internet, but he was resistant, saying,
Our old way is the best way. I'm not the problem. The world is.
While I was deep in thought about the business, my mom would nudge me with those house chores. Is lunch ready yet? Did you hang the laundry? Juggling household tasks didn't leave me much time to devise and execute a plan to revitalize the business, leaving me always a step behind. But after much effort, I managed to start online classes using the internet, selling primarily rare alcohol available at our store, with restrictions making it hard for people to move about freely. This treasure hunt-like method of online sales was a hit, and our business started to pick up. Meanwhile, as our store's name gained visibility online, foot traffic also increased. My free time shrunk even more. Although it was tough having no time to myself, I kept pushing, thinking it was all to reduce my parents' debt. Things were finally looking up, and my parents were becoming self-sufficient. Around that time, I was told, "Noah's got a baby on the way." "Congratulations, that's great. Your first grandchild." I beamed with joy, but my mom's face stiffened. "That's why you have to leave this house." "What?" I was unable to comprehend what she was saying. As I gazed at my mom in confusion, my dad, who had been listening to our conversation over a drink, added,
Noah and his wife are going to live here. Pack your stuff and get out.
"But I came back to this house for the two of you." My pleas fell on deaf ears. My sister had always been a free spirit, never helped around the house, and despite wanting to be a preschool teacher and leaving for college, she dropped out within a few months because she got bored. Even after that, she lived off our parents' financial support. That continued even after she got married. Her husband didn't have a steady job either, so they lived on our parents' money and their part-time job income. Despite this, they seemed to be living comfortably, going on trips here and there. I had a feeling about this, but chose to turn a blind eye. Suddenly being told to leave the house, I was too busy to even find a new place. I asked my parents to give me at least 2 months, and I began to search for a new home, putting the liquor store work on the back burner. During one of these days, my dad called my workplace.
Emily, what the hell are you doing? The store is too busy. Come home right now.
"No, I'm working now. Ask Noah." Frustrated with my father, trying to dump his work on me after telling me to leave, I hung up the phone. A few minutes later,
Emily, your father's on the phone again.
"Really? Again? I am so sorry for the trouble." As I answered the phone, my father started repeating the same things from earlier, eventually shouting on the other end of the line. "Emily, you can leave early today if you want." My boss offered. I still had work to do, but didn't want to cause further disturbance at the office because of my father's incessant calls. So I decided to leave early that day. Arriving at our family liquor store, my father was there, drinking, even though we were still open for business. What? Drinking again instead of working? I was furious. When I confronted him about his drinking, he rambled on, saying,
Drinking is vital to understanding the taste of our products. You just focus on your work.
Unable to see an end to the conversation with my inebriated father, I silently started the family business tasks. From then on, I juggled my work, household chores, house hunting, and the liquor store duties, leading an unimaginably hectic life. One day, due to extreme stress, I fainted at work and woke up in a hospital bed. My colleague Jason, who had accompanied me, explained that I had collapsed, hitting my head on the corner of my desk. Touching my head gently, I could feel the bandages wrapped around it.
You gave us a scare. How are you feeling now? Better?
Tears welled up in my eyes at his kindness. Over the past few years, people had rarely shown me kindness. At home, despite the work I did at the liquor store and the house chores, no one ever appreciated me. Being constantly manipulated by my alcoholic father and selfish mother had pushed me to my limit. Seeing me in this state, Jason said,
"You've worked really hard, but soon you won't have to worry about the house, right? Let's take it easy from now on."
I expressed my gratitude to Jason, who had shown me such empathy. That's right, I would be moving out soon. The thought gave me the strength to endure a little longer. Finally, I found a house and started preparing to move out. Even then, my parents nagged me to clean every nook and cranny of the house, since my younger sister and her husband would be moving in. But by now, I was determined not to be the obedient daughter anymore. "Why don't you sort it out yourself? I have nothing to do with it anymore." When I retorted, my parents seemed a bit taken aback. My father replied,
"What's with that attitude? It will be a relief to get rid of someone like you."
I was fed up with my ungrateful parents who showed no appreciation for everything I had done for them. Once I completed my move, my sister and her husband moved into my parents' house, and I was finally free from their control. During the weekdays, I would work and get home before 8 p.m. On weekends, I could sleep in, go for walks, do some shopping, and finally have some time to myself. I was enjoying every day more than ever before. Then, 1 month later, a phone call made me laugh out loud. "What's going on with this month's debt payment?" Suddenly, my mother called in anger. "Wait, a debt? Wasn't that created by you guys? Despite all the effort I put into rebuilding the liquor store business and doing all the house chores, who was it that kicked me out for their convenience?" I didn't give my mom a chance to respond, and in the background, Noah chimed in. "Please, sis, help us out. I had no idea about the debt. I thought the liquor store was doing great, and I could lead an easy life if I came back home." And she continued pleading like that. But of course, life was not going to be that easy. All I could do was laugh at my self-centered family, which now included my sister and her husband. 4 adults should be able to figure out money, right? When I said that, I could hear my mom and Noah arguing on the other end of the phone. They were hurling insults, blaming each other for their inaction, just tearing each other down. The argument heated up to the point where they seemed to forget I was on the phone. This went on for several minutes. Listening to their conversation, I felt very disappointed in my family. At the same time, my desire to distance myself from them grew even stronger. My dad, who drank all the time and didn't want to work. My mom, who didn't want to do household chores. Noah, who didn't want to work and wanted to live off her parents. And Noah's husband, who also didn't want to work. There was no way that a liquor store income could cover the nearly $1,000 in monthly debt payments and the living expenses for 4 adults with such mentality. Fed up, I said, "I don't want to be involved anymore. Oh, by the way, I'm getting married soon. I plan on moving overseas in a few months, so don't rely on me anymore." When I told them that, my mom just blurted out things like, "What do you mean overseas? You must have a lot of money. Don't go overseas. Come back home." And I was so fed up with her that I hung up. They kept calling back, but I didn't answer any more calls from my family. The next day, I changed my cell phone number, and I asked my workplace not to connect any calls to me. While I was in America, I was able to distance myself from my family, and with the help of the people around me. Several months later, just before leaving America, I heard from a relative that the online liquor store business that I built was also in trouble because everyone was doing their work haphazardly. Shipments were delayed, wrong products were delivered, and they were swamped with customer complaints. Bad management spread by word of mouth, damaging the reputation and hurting sales. In parallel, the fact that my dad was drunk every day became a topic of conversation, and the store was labeled as a place with a drunkard, which slowed customer traffic. The sales plummeted, and the monthly losses were back. The family liquor store, which had recovered enough to make a living, was forced to close down. And the 4 people who had lost their credibility couldn't even get a job in the vicinity of their home. They lost their means to make money, couldn't repay their debts, and had to leave the store and house they had pledged as collateral. After losing their refuge, the family of 4 scrambled desperately to get in touch with me. Yet thanks to the support of my extended family, who became my allies and kept my location secret, I was able to avoid contact with them. Despite the fact that Noah's wife is pregnant and nearing her due date, all 4 adults remained unemployed. Their daily quarrels, discussions about how to survive, and refusal to take initiative for employment eventually led to petty squabbles and blame games. In the meantime, I got married to Jason, the coworker who had accompanied me to the hospital when I fell ill. We had always been close, but the incident brought us even closer. At that time, we were both offered positions at our company's overseas branch. This string of coincidences led to our relationship and subsequent decision to marry. Since I had no time for myself while rebuilding my parents' house, I now want to cherish my time with my husband and put effort into both our work and home life. My family took for granted the sacrifices I made for them over the years. They didn't bother to put in any effort and left everything to others. Their only concern was their own benefit. The fate of such people who never bothered to make an effort was predictable. I am thankful to the people who rescued me. I want to use my family as a negative example and aim to lead a happy life, considering not only my interests, but also those of others.